Hello, this is Linton from BA1 Radio, and I am joined here with a very special guest. I am joined here with Dine Romero, who is the Council Leader, so a very big title, and I feel very honored to actually have you here on BA1 Radio. Thank you so much for coming here.
Absolute pleasure. Lovely to be here.
Yeah, it's just definitely one of those like big highlights. Like, oh, we've got Dina Romero here. We're going to ask her all the questions, I guess. So I guess the first question we're probably going to be asking is like, number one, coronavirus. How can businesses and organizations kind of better help customers to like socially distance to kind of prevent any local flare-ups?
Well, I think the key thing here is that everybody's got to play their part. Yeah, obviously you would hope that local businesses and organisations would make it easy, but everybody has to recognise that coronavirus is still with us, that everybody needs to protect themselves and protect each other in whatever environment they are in. So whether or not that's at work, whether or not that's socialising. So everybody must try and make sure that they social distance. So that's staying 2 metres apart. But if that's not possible, then to be 1 metre apart and also to be wearing a mask. Make sure people wash their hands. And just general sort of hygiene, that sort of thing. So make sure that if when you wash your hands, you're washing them for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
At least. If there isn't the opportunity to wash your hands, use hand sanitizer. I think it's very important to stress that you can get it, you can spread it without even knowing that you've actually got it. So in a way, perhaps it's safer to assume that you and everybody with you is potentially a carrier. So, you just need to be vigilant all the time.
When speaking with regards to like, if you do kind of have it or you think you're kind of having symptoms of it, like how easy is it for people to kind of get tested?
You just go online, there's numbers to call, you book an appointment, you go to the appointment, it may be that you opt for a self-testing kit, and then you just follow the instructions. You've got to be you've got to follow those instructions though really carefully to make sure that you don't inadvertently get a false result. So a false positive or a false negative can be equally of concern, because you may then, if you don't think you've got it, then you might carry on doing, all the things that you might ordinarily do and then spread it. But also if you if you manage to somehow test positive, you might then find that you're putting more strain on services and perhaps that are unnecessary. So you just need to make sure you follow the instructions very carefully and clearly. We're making sure that there are places to be tested that are as near as possible to Bath, within Bath and North East Somerset, so that it should be pretty straightforward and pretty easy.
Could you kind of give our listeners an idea of like some of these locations where they can get tested?
Well, we've had a number of what they call mobile testing units. So we've had one in Polton, and we've also had one at Odddown. We're also looking to find some locations within the city of Bath itself, so that we can make it even easier for people, particularly those that don't drive or don't have access to a car, so they can actually walk in and get that test. It's absolutely vital. If you are asked to go for a test, so once you've been tested, then your contacts will be contacted as well to ask them to go for a test if you're tested and found to be positive. And so, you need to make sure that if you're one of those ones that's contacted, that you go and get that test.
The council has kind of been kind of dealing with coronavirus for like the past 6 months, in a myriad of different ways. We've seen a lot of the social distancing measures which have been put in place, like on like some narrow roads. They're like signs telling drivers to kind of be wary of potential pedestrians, trying to socially distance. Can you kind of tell us a little little bit about like some other things which you've kind of implemented to try and make social distancing a bit easier?
Well, as you say, yes, we've put in measures that have made it easier for people on narrow pavements or areas where there might not even be a pavement to be able to pass each other on the on the on the on the streets. We've also been putting in measures across the city as well to encourage or to show people where they can stand if they have to queue outside a shop to go in. And also making sure that various facilities, for washing hands are available for people. But we need to make sure that everybody takes responsibility for their part in this. It is not wholly the responsibility of the council or the NHS or any other agency. Everybody has to accept their part in this.
Sometimes when you're kind of out and about, you may be like in areas with quite a large number of people. Would you still like recommend that people wear like wearing masks like in potentially like largely kind of crowded areas like outside, or is it strictly just kind of inside that they should kind of be aware of masks?
Well, I think the current guidance from government is that masks should be worn indoors. My view, and this is my personal view, if you feel that the situation you're in calls for you to wear a mask and you're outside, maybe you're in a crowded space, then I think you should wear a mask. I think you should, perhaps it's better to overprotect yourself than under.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of hard to agree with that. One thing which I kind of want to bring out a little bit is I think there was a few like local flare-ups in like I think it was Midsummer Norton. I think you guys mentioned in your last forum. I think it was like last week or something. Could you kind of tell us like how like you think that the Baines area has kind of been handling coronavirus so far?
Well, I think we've been incredibly lucky that we haven't had the numbers of cases that we've seen in other parts of the country. So we've had, some cases, as you say, in Midsummer Norton over the last 7 days. But even though the numbers in that area have been high for us, it is actually still low in comparison to other parts of the country. But the thing to try and make sure everybody understands is that it doesn't take many cases for that to cause a spike and a new local outbreak. So we need to make sure that we don't have an escalation of COVID cases and that everybody continues to follow the guidance, and everybody, no matter how young or old they are, isn't complacent. I think there has been a sense that perhaps young people are less vulnerable to this virus, and whilst to a degree that may be true, however, they are still able to spread the virus, and so may inadvertently be spreading it to older relatives of their own families or friends, etc. So we just need to make sure, and I can't say this enough times, everybody needs to play their part. Everybody needs to basically don't let the side down. Let's make sure that we're all playing our part in this and doing our bit to make sure that the virus is contained, stays contained, and doesn't spread, and cause unnecessary illness and death.
Yeah, definitely. I think one more thing which it might be kind of worth kind of talking about is I think the council recently kind of let out like a recent campaign regarding kind of like trying to make sure that if you are wearing like disposable personal protective equipment, just make sure you kind of dispose of it correctly as well after you've used it. I think there've been some cases of people kind of littering it around, and so it seems very very good that the council's kind of pushing people to make sure that if you are wearing the equipment, make sure that you dispose of it correctly after you've used it.
Absolutely, yes, because even though it might it's labelled disposable, there's two issues here. One is that it contains plastic, and therefore, is an environmental risk. But also because you've been wearing it close to your, across your nose and your mouth. If then it falls onto the floor, and you're basically leaving it then for somebody else to pick up, for somebody else to catch. If you've got the virus and didn't know it, you're leaving that there for somebody else to have to deal with, and that's, it's clearly not fair, and it's also posing a really serious health risk to another.
Yeah, definitely. It would cause a very serious kind of health risk to others. So it's definitely something to kind of make sure you're aware of. That when you're done using it, make sure you dispose of it correctly. And yeah, do you have like any more like closing thoughts you would like to kind of bring out on this topic?
Well, I'd just like to re-emphasise again that coronavirus is still with us. We need to protect ourselves. We need to protect others. We need to make sure we follow all of the advice. So that is, as I said, maintaining that distance between each other, to make sure that you are wearing a mask or PPE if the circumstances say that you should, and make sure you're wearing your mask properly as well. It needs to cover your mouth and your nose. There's no point in wearing it over your chin. That's not going to help anybody. And at the very least, wash your hands, wash them for 20 seconds or more, and just be vigilant, and play your part, and don't let the side down, don't let yourself down, and don't let anybody else down. It's really important that we all do properly understand that although this virus hits older people harder, it is still spread by younger people. And I think if there's any way of making sure that your listeners can recognise that and can do everything they can to prevent the spread of the virus, that would be fantastic.
It is something that a lot of young people are kind of spreading. So I think it's good to kind of make sure that they're aware of this. It is still with us, as you say.
Oh, it is, and actually, and that's the important thing to really stress, that as a young person, you are not. You're not invulnerable. You're not safe from this virus. You could still be a spreader of the virus. You could spread it to people that you care about, and I'm sure that no young person wants to do that.
Yeah, I definitely 100% agree with that. And with that, I would like to thank you for coming here on BA1 Radio. This was very nice of you to kind of take the time out of your very busy day to come on. So thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And for now, we're going to switch back to the studio to play some more wonderful music here on BA1 Radio.